Oh, what's up, guys? Gun here. Happy Tuesday. Hey, it's August 11, 2020. There is basketball. There's 7 games over on the DraftKings main slate. If you're playing that, I do have a core picks video for that. Know that DraftKings slate is going to include a Rockets game that's not on this slate. This slate for FanDuel is actually not going to lock until 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Central. There's a big gap between the two locks. So if you do want to play on DraftKings and FanDuel, you get plenty of time in between. You can have some lunch. You can call your mom, tell her you love her, and then you can come back to the RunDFS.com VIP Discord and tell me you love me, because I need reassurance too, you know. Hey, let's talk about the FanDuel slate for NBA. There is going to be some wonkiness in these final days of the regular season. You guys saw it yesterday. And you've seen it the last couple days. Teams that are locked in are playing their starters less minutes or not at all. And teams that are fighting for it all, like the Memphis Grizzlies, like the Portland Trailblazers, are playing their starters as much as they can. Have you seen Damian Lillard's minute count lately? It's a lot. 40, 39, 40, 39, 44, 44. I mean, if the Blazers don't make the playoffs, it's not Dame's fault. It's not Dame's fault. It's not Dame's fault. Same song and dance for the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant, he's out there hustling. I mean, this is a team without Jaren Jackson Jr. They are losing some pieces, but Ja Morant's out there fighting, trying to get the Grizzlies to that next stage. So those are teams that I would really be focusing on in my lineups today. Teams that have a lot to play for will have a higher predictive value in minute projections than teams that are kind of coasting or locked in. Boston and Memphis tee off an hour and a half prior to the Portland game. If you've looked at the standings, Portland right now is a half game back from the Memphis Grizzlies. So those are going to be two teams that I would have a deep research in on. And I'll talk possibly about a bunch of those players today in this video. But you guys know the drill, or you should. In this course pick video, I try to stay away from the studs, right? You guys don't need me, like, it's not on this slate, but if James Harden was out and Russell Westbrook was in this player pool, you wouldn't need me to tell you to play Russell Westbrook. I try to stick at the under 8K area, guys that I think could meet or exceed value at their current price point today, with a couple of reasons why, right? You guys have the heavy lifting with the Giannis's and the Lucas of the world. I like to dumpster dive and look for a diamond in the rough. So hopefully I can help you maybe consider a few guys. And remember, this is a long ways out. There's a long time between right now in this moment recording this first look preview and those games locking. So a lot of news will come out. A lot more value will open up. Just speculating, the Philadelphia 76ers, they may not have normal starters, period. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons out. Tobias Harris may not play. Heck, at that point, you might as well rest Al Horford, right? So that could be a team that puts out a G League scrub squad. Guys like Shake Milton, maybe Kyle O'Quinn gets a shot. Mike Scott, like those guys are going to be value plays that open up, and you're probably going to use them to make some really odd-looking lineups. And if that is the case, I would say when you go roster a guy like Ja Morant, worry less about value, and at that point, go get raw points. You're going to get guys that overperform in the 3-4K area in the final days of the regular season. So if Ja Morant's going to give you 40 minutes of fight for everything you got basketball, go get 38 DKP or FDP from him if you have to. Anyway, let's talk about the core 5 here. 1 point guard, 1 shooting guard, 1 small forward, 1 power forward, 1 center. Let's start with the point guard position. I'll talk about Lonzo Ball. If you guys happen to see my DraftKings video, there's going to be some overlap between players today. Lonzo Ball is one of those guys, 6.7K. The New Orleans Pelicans, going to be fast-paced team. A lot of shots to replace today in the absence of Brandon Ingram, Drew Holiday, and Zion Williamson. Lonzo Ball should look a lot more like the Lonzo Ball that led the nobody Lakers a couple years back. And heck, he might use a couple of teammates from that squad, like Josh Hart. Lonzo Ball is kind of a triple-double threat. If you give him the minutes, he'll go out there and get you assists, enough scoring, and some rebounds. He's going against the Sacramento Kings. Austin Rivers just dropped like 50 on these guys. So I like the odds here of Lonzo Ball to go out there and get it done. And Lonzo Ball, another guy that can get you some steals. Look at it, a 4-steal game, a couple games back against the Memphis Grizzlies. 3. Look at all these high steal games. Those add up on FanDuel. Those are times 3. I think there's a good shot Lonzo Ball gives me a floor of mid-30s and maybe 40 to 50 as a ceiling if I'm being a little bit generous. So give me Lonzo. We'll put him in there. Like I said, I'm going to love lineups that have double high-end point guards like Damian Lillard, John Morant, stuff like that. But Lonzo Ball, points per dollar, with the opportunity to perform as of now, is somebody I'm really, really digging. Let's move over to the shooting guard spot. The cover boy, Bogdan Bogdanović. I love Bogdan Bogdanović. He let me down once in one of the worst shooting performances I've ever seen. He shot something like 1 for 15 against the Dallas Mavericks. Clearly an anomaly. Today, I think he makes up for it. We can run him back against Lonzo. It's a slow-paced team, Kings, against one of the fastest-paced teams, Pelicans. And he's going to have to assume some usage. If we go look at the Sacramento Kings on-off court tool, I'm taking off Willie Cauley-Stein, Rashawn Holmes, and Darren Fox. Fox is a big absence here. You guys have been seeing what Fox has done this side of the bubble. He's officially out with a shoulder injury. Look at the minutes. Look at the production. 36, 32, 37, 38 minutes, and 20-plus real points per game. Who can make up some of those points? For me, it's Bogdan Bogdanović, and that's almost a snap call. By the way, that usage check, when we took those players off, Bogdan is sitting at just about a point per minute with a 26.5% usage rate. 25% usage rate in 480 minutes of sample size. If you're going to be a point per minute at 34, 35 minutes, I'll be a buyer. Give me Bogdan. And I love the matchup. The New Orleans Pelicans is already one of the worst defenses in basketball. Their best defender by far, Drew Holiday, not in the game. Matchup becomes that much softer for Bogdan Bogdanović, and their projected starting lineup could have people like Corey Joseph, who's not really a known scorer, and who else do we got in this projected lineup? Alex Landon. Alex Landon can get down if they gave him the minutes. Harrison Barnes. I trust Bogdan to potentially probably lead this starting 5 in shot attempts. If he got 20 to 30 shot attempts, wouldn't be surprised. We've seen him have some big games, and we've seen him much more expensive. So I think the price, points per dollar, 5.6K for Bogdan, give him to me all day long, all day strong. Let's move over to the small forward position. This is one of those spots where if Giannis plays, he's dealing with a mouth injury. He didn't play yesterday. If he plays today, 11K, you might overpay for 40, 45 if you'll take it where you can get it, right? And if he did play, his full allotment of minutes against the Wizards, yeah. He has 100-point potential. Wizards should get smoked. We should see a big-time spread here. I wouldn't anticipate full starter minutes if he did play, but like I said, this might be one of those days we overpay for a floor, a 45, a 50, and we'll have a couple 3K gems. But I'm not here to tell you to play Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm looking at Carmelo. I said it, man. Let's target some teams that are playing for their lives. And Carmelo is not only one of those guys playing for a playoff potential, but he's a guy that, he's been trying to kind of have this comeback tour, and they've been looking his way. And 3 of his last 4 games, he's exceeded 30 DKP. Denver, a little bit of a tougher matchup, but the shot volume's there, double-digit shot volume. Sneaky rebound upside here, 7, 11 rebounds in 3 of his last 4. Could I get mid-30 fantasy points from Carmelo? I think it's plausible. I think it's possible. I'm going to put him in there. Mavericks, if you look at that DVP chart for the Dallas Mavericks in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP Spreadsheet, the Mavericks on paper look more like a funnel defense, right? A lot of green at the point guard, shooting guard, center, power forward spot. But their biggest weakness seems to be that small forward spot. And Dorian Finney-Smith, one of their lankier, scrappier defenders, not expected to play. We'll see if Luka and Porzingis suit up. If they do, Porzingis is a stout defender down low. Maybe he gives Nurkic a couple more fits to pass it to Melo. And Melo can go get you that mid-30s. I'm not expecting the world from Melo here, but I am expecting a deep minute count for a team trying to make the playoffs. And Melo is a guy that they have trusted, and we've seen him make some game winners. And small forward's a very shallow pool to swim in. Let's move over to the power forward position. If you thought small forward was shallow, power forward is no water in the pool. We're hitting the plank and cannonballing into a flat panel of concrete. Porzingis at the top here at 8.5K. He's in a tough matchup against Nurkic. Again, I'm not here to give you the 8K guys. I do think you're probably going to have to overpay for a 35-40. And Jason Tatum kind of looks like a guy that makes me curious in that regard because the Memphis Grizzlies do play a faster pace, a lot more peripherals to go around, and Tatum has had some upside games. His range of outcomes, pretty volatile, 58, 34, 24, 35, 50. But he would probably be my preferred spend-up guy in the power forward spot. But again, I'm kind of looking for diamonds in the rough. And right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Nicolo Melli. 3.7K. I said it. Brandon Ingram out. Zion Williamson out. Drew Holiday out. There's some minutes to make up, and there hasn't been a lot of games where Alvin Gentry's given Nicolo Melli a deep minute run. But in games where he's gotten 25 or more minutes, he's been close to a point per minute, and he's one of those guys that I like Lonzo Ball to pass to shoot from long range. So at 3,700, can I get 25 FanDuel points and just kind of use them as that stocking stuffer to kind of make some of those higher end point guard lineups? I think I can, and I think I will. But you guys bear with me on the power forward spot. It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. Like I said, I think some value will open up from the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't think it's concrete value, but guys like Mike Scott at the same price point at Nicolo Melli would be an interesting pivot. Mike Scott, another guy that can be a point per minute, 15 minutes against Portland, 17 fantasy points, and you see down here he's hit mid-20s with 25 to 30 minutes of opportunity. So that could be a realistic possibility for him. There is a chance that the 76ers have no regular starters. I think Shake Milton might still start, but guys like Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Josh Richardson could all be out. So that becomes a very depleted, shallow rotation potentially, and it's a bunch of bench guys. And Mike Scott would kind of fit the bill there. So it's an ugly power forward spot, but let's lean Nicolo Melli right now. And I hate to just full stack one team here, but center's pretty bad too. So I'm going to talk a couple ideas about the top end. Joel Embiid off the table. He's not going to play. Yusuf Nurkic, I think he's playable. I think he's one of those guys that fits the bill. We're going to go out there and play the guys fighting for a playoff spot. Nurkic is going to be out there playing 30-plus minutes. His matchup, not great. Porzingis has been pretty stout. The Mavericks have been pretty stout against opposing centers in terms of fantasy points allowed. But Yusuf Nurkic is one of those bigs that can do it in every facet, has triple-double potential. He missed a triple-double by 1 assist against the Clippers, so I believe that will elevate his floor enough. That would be a buyer and an investor. DeAndre Ayton, weird situation with Ayton yesterday. Did you see that? He missed his coronavirus test. So some people faded him. Dario Saric started in his place. And then he ended up being cleared to play, but only played 17 minutes when it was all said and done. Do I trust going back to that situation? I don't know. We'll see. But at this stage of the game, I mean, that's a yikes, right? Jonas Valanciunas, much like Nurkic, I'd probably look to him just because of what they're fighting for. They're fighting for their season. 7.3K for Valanciunas. Can I get to that 30-minute threshold? It's not a pristine matchup. If you look at his game log, he didn't have a single real point against Toronto, and that's not surprising. Jonas Valanciunas is going to score a lot of his points in the paint. We go to that team stats tab in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet and sort it by points in the paint allowed, fewest to most. The Boston Celtics allow a bottom 4 amount of points in the paint. The Raptors a bottom 3. And that just kind of translated into his recent game log. He didn't really put up a lot of real points. So not a pristine matchup, but a guy that would likely get leaned on down the stretch. If that game is a competitive game against the Celtics and you need J-Val to go out there and be a beast, 33 minutes. Everybody want to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. Well, Jonas Valanciunas is going to have that opportunity to go out there and be a beast today on a team that has no Jaren Jackson Jr. And really needs somebody to help John Morant and Dylan Brooks, right? So I don't mind looking at him. And then we look at Thomas Bryant, gets a little bit more flaky. Wizards and Bucks are going to be a pretty fast-paced game on paper, but the Bucks could be one of those teams that don't play their starters more than 20 minutes. And then we saw that just 22 minutes out of Thomas Bryant against the Thunder. I think he's, up until this point, this Wizards team really hasn't been fighting for anything really anyway. Up until this point, has been a 30-minute threat. And he is a center that shoots threes. And the Milwaukee Bucks, while the Bucks are, if you look at that list, that points in the paint list, the Bucks allow the fewest points in the paint in basketball, but they allow amongst the most points in the league via the long ball. So maybe he surprises people and shoots some threes. But again, none of these matchups are matchups that I want to attack. So I'm kind of left with a surprising name here, and that name is Derek Favors. Hear me out, man. 5.4K for Derek Favors. If we go to that on-off court tool, we take off Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, we put Derek Favors on. It's not going to give us a lot of sample size, just 55 minutes, but he's averaging 1.4 fantasy points per minute. Maybe 1.4 is a little anomalaic, and I'm not expecting deep minutes here, 30 minutes, but this isn't one of those guys that you would say, oh, he's one of their veterans, there's no reason to run him. This guy's an unrestricted free agent in a couple weeks. Is this an audition for Derek Favors for his next team, whoever that may be, against a matchup with the Sacramento Kings that he can get off against? A 5.4K, could I get 30-plus fantasy points? I think it's very possible. Last couple games here, 29 against San Antonio in just 23 minutes, right? 30.5 against the Wizards plus matchup. 25.8 in 21 minutes against the Clippers. I mean, he really, truly has point per minute potential. Just 11 against Sacramento, 22 minutes a couple games back. But things get a little bit different with all those guys out. So I'm kind of looking at Derek Favors to kind of overperform for that price point. But like I said, overall, this is a rough slate. A lot of ins and outs that are going to shake the floor, the foundation of everything we know about DFS, the value systems and whatnot today. Might be more so about throwing a net over raw points, scooping it back, and hoping you're on the right side of the cash line and maybe get some crazy picks out there. So I really do like Lonzo Bogdan. Melo's kind of an iffy play, but I still think the minute opportunity is there for him, that it makes sense for me to roster him and not feel too concerned. Nicolo Melli is a little bit more flaky just because we don't absolutely know what his minutes would be no matter what. It seems like we could stand to reason that 25 to 32 minutes is a reasonable window for him. So at that price, I'm going to bite. Maybe I switch it to Mike Scott once I know for sure the statuses of guys like Al Horford. Or maybe I just play them both and then go overpay for Giannis Antetokounmpo if he gets rolled in and go pay for the Damian Lillards and John Morant lineup. So I think that's a way to go as well. And then, like I said, center can go so many different ways, but the guys up top, I can't really paint them confidently either in a minute projection or in a matchup projection. So I think Derek Favors makes a lot of sense there. Anyway, that's my first core plays for FanDuel. If you guys have some gems of your own, be sure to drop them in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up for me for you skedaddle. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, you like DFS content, man, I've been pumping it out lately since sports has come back. We get an NFL, knock on wood, in the not too distant future. So hopefully you guys will see a lot of NFL content. I've been really good about putting up NFL content in the last couple seasons. And then maybe we'll get some baseball stuff out there today. Today's slate a lot bigger and a lot better pitching options than we had yesterday. If you're playing on DraftKings, I have a DraftKings video on this channel. Otherwise, twitter.com/GundackerSports. Go try out a week pass in the RunDFS.com VIP. I love each and every one of you. I hope you crush it today. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.